Rory Coutts, Middlesex's head of youth cricket, thanks for joining us. Academy back together here up at Finchley, a long winter ahead. How are things?
They've started really well, thanks Fletch. Yes, a long cold winter with lots of fresh air blowing in the building. So everyone's really much looking forward to it. This is the third week we've been back now, so everyone in the full swing of things. And yes, just good to be back inside doing something productive.
Absolutely. You've obviously got a few new entrants into the academy, a few have exited. What shape of the academy looking in as we go into winter?
We're probably a bit younger than we've been over the last few years. We've got 19 lads across the whole programme, and 7 of those are new players for this year. It was good to obviously have 4 players move on to the pro staff last year, or 3 from the academy, and Max Harris, who had his rookie contract renewed. So some space was created, and we're probably a bit younger than we've been over the last few years, but lots of good young cricketers and hopefully a nice pipeline coming through for years to come.
You mentioned that pipeline, Rory. We're now looking at a first 11 for Middlesex. It's got 70% of the players in it that have come through the academy. As someone that's overseen this programme, you must be enormously proud of what we've achieved.
Yeah, I think from the club perspective it's brilliant. I mean, 70% of the pro staff being Middlesex boys is a great thing, and I think it's something that in my role, obviously you mentioned, it'd be wrong not to be proud of something like that, but so many people put in a huge amount of work, and people who have been in the role before. So it's really exciting for Middlesex, and the next bit we hope is that all of those lads go on to achieve what they want to achieve in the game and reach their potential. But really exciting and great to see so many names who've been up on the board in the indoor school starting to make their way in professional cricket. So yeah, really exciting moving forward.
Roy, you mentioned some of those youngsters coming through and going on into pro contracts, Max Harris being one. He was one of 4 players that came out of the academy to be given rookies, which is great for them to get into the professional game. What's, I guess, interesting with those 4 is they've all come from very different backgrounds. I know you've got 2 coaches here from Berkshire, which is again a partnership that keeps on proving fruitful. You've got players coming at the pro ranks through the academy from different directions. How refreshing, I guess, is that for you, that there isn't one kind of clear pathway through, there are different entry points?
Absolutely. It's critical. I think players develop at such different times and at different rates. And you mentioned the Berkshire link there. Toby Greatwood follows people like Jack and Martin who have joined us from Berkshire, and through the great work that Tom Lambert and Stewie Davidson, who are with us here today, do in Berkshire. And that link's vital and so important to us moving forward. But equally, you've got players who, like Daniel O'Driscoll, started as a 10-year-old at Middlesex and went all the way through, and players like Ishan Kaushal, who was involved with our county age group programme all the way through from a young age, joined the academy a little bit later at under 17 age group, but then kicked on. And that often happens with bowlers because they develop a little bit later because of the physical nature of bowling. So another example of how players can kick on at different times through the pathway. Max Harris dipped in and out of our borough and regional cricket, but then developed through a bit later through North Mid. So, you know, there's so many different routes that players can take, and I think the key thing from our perspective is that we can catch them in at whatever point they do kick on, and I think that's hopefully the beauty of what we're able to do. But really exciting for those 4 lads.
We caught up with Mark Lane earlier and we talked about the Borough Lead programme that he's got in place, and the fact that that's now starting to represent, along with the other people he's got out there in the Middlesex network, it's starting to resemble something very close to a scouting network. As head of youth cricket, are you now pretty confident that we're getting to a point now where anyone that displays the right level of talent is going to find their way into the programme?
I think more so maybe than we've ever been. Borough and regional cricket now is entering into its 10th year of being in place, and I think seeing players play cricket, but ultimately coaches and people who are watching those games get to see the standard, as well as some of the scouts that Mark Lane has in place. I think it's really positive that there's a lot of people out there who are seeing cricket, seeing cricketers, and ultimately getting a much broader idea of the standard that's required of these players. So, yeah, to answer your question.
Rory, you look at our academy setup now and the production line that's going into the first 11. How different are we from other counties? Because obviously our entire strategy of development and growth is built on that pathway and that talent projection. How different are we from other counties? Are we doing things differently?
I think that's always a difficult one to know, because you don't have an inside knowledge of all the way the other counties go. I think, just speaking purely from a Middlesex perspective, the bit that's always been fantastic from our side is that there is a link up. There's a link up and a link down, in that we've got a club who want to develop homegrown Middlesex players, but those young players are rewarded with contracts if they are of the right standard, and I think that's aspirational for all young players who enter Middlesex, whether in borough, regional, county age group cricket, that they can see players being signed who are Middlesex young cricketers. So that gives them a real belief that it could also be them, and I think that's such a powerful message to young players. So as far as other counties go, I think we've just got to keep doing what we can do to make the best young cricketers in Middlesex, and hopefully in time they'll go on and dominate first team cricket for years to come.
I couldn't agree with you more. One last question, Rory, on Alan Coleman, good friend of yours. Obviously you took over the academy from Alan, who obviously moved into the second 11. How proud are you of Alan and where he's gone with his career, and how, I guess, pleasant is it for you as head of youth cricket that you've got someone in Alan now looking after that professional side that you can kind of pass your academy players to?
Yeah, obviously from a club perspective it's brilliant. Alan's done almost all of the roles from starting as a community coach and working his way all the way up, and we've both been blessed to have that backing. He started 2 years before I did, I think it was, and we were both going into schools at that stage, him in West London, me in East London. So I think going all the way up and and him being in the position he's in is testament to obviously the work he's put in, but also the backing that the club see the value and the impact he's been able to have over a period of time. So I'm sure he'll make an absolute success of the role.
Absolutely. Well, Rory, thanks ever so much for your time. Good luck over the coming winter months. We'll be up giving tabs on what's going on and how progress is working. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Fletch. Thank you, mate.